Good evening, traders, and welcome to another StockX post-market recap. So as we close into the end of the week, we can officially confirm that many of our levels, analysis, and predictions have come true. We pretty much discussed from Monday to Tuesday that the market bottom will be at 60.30. The market had hit that bottom on Tuesday, and then on Wednesday we decided to buy calls at that specific point. Swinged it from that entry point at the end of the day on Tuesday into the CPI report. The market ripped from 60.30 till a penny all the way to 60.90. We banked massive on those SPX calls, and then we mentioned at the end of the day on Wednesday that we had a bearish vibe, and from that point on the market dumped from 60.90 to all the way at a low at around 60.51, as we can see today. So in today's session, I've got a couple of requests on discussing how can we use the Zack attack indicator to scalp. So we're going to be talking about that, and we're going to be also sharing a little bit of insight about premiums. We're going to go over the trades that we have done today, and we're going to give you guys an idea on what to expect moving forward based on the Broadcom earnings that have came out and how that can affect the semiconductor industry and the overall S&P 500. So let's get into it and let's discuss this in great details. So it was another very successful day in the Discord room here. We managed to call out many awesome plays. Okay, so we've been pretty much holding a couple of positions overnight, and we decided to pretty much see how they go overall. But a lot of them have been successful, and we have been seeing considerable momentum from them. So the first trade that I pretty much want to go over is UPST. So UPST started off with a bang. This stock was one of the heavier positions that I have taken today, and it really went buck wild at the open. I'm not really sure what the primary reason for this trade to really start ripping at open, but it happened and it ended up in our favor. Okay, so the first trade that we seen here is our UPST 82 calls. We banked around 82%. Now the reason why I decided to sell this is because it ran up all the way to past my level 1 bullish zone. It was very close to level 2, but you can see right over here that this 30-minute candle stopped right at my level 1, and we pretty much sold it close to the full-on breakout. So the reason why I had got UPST in the first place was because it held this level 1 bearish support, and when that happens, it's usually very common that you might see a rebound back to the top here. Okay, so UPST does have earnings that are coming up in the near future, around two months or so. And the thing about the stock here is it's really impacted by rates. Okay, so managed to get out of that, and we made a nice profit, as you guys can see over here. We decided to take a Tesla Lotto 700 put that we added to our swing, and we mentioned that this can go to zero, especially since, you know, the reason why we took Tesla in the first place, because based off our levels here, you know, the top is around 420, 430. It can easily come back, but Tesla looks like it's kind of topping. We did have calls on this before, and it did really break out, but there's potential that you may see Tesla move back lower here. Okay, and the common relationship is that when Tesla is strong, I tend to see a relationship where semiconductors get weak here. Okay, so if that is true, you might see Tesla hit 406 and potentially retest this 398. So two things we want to watch out is to see if those start to move. This was a very high risk play that we took that has the opportunity to move. Okay, because this is the first time we're starting to see some downsending Tesla move here, so keep an eye on it. Overall, the stock is still pretty bullish. We did call out calls on it before, but it's starting to give me weaker upside premiums and stronger downside premiums, and we got a smaller position off this. Okay, so we did swing our 60-30 puts. It did open around 60-70% overnight, but as the market opened, you could see here that pretty much we started off with weakness and we hit my level 1 bearish support. At this point here, this is when the market started to really pop here. Okay, so as you guys can see, that level 1 bearish support was given in my channel timestamp once again at 60.61, and that's exactly where the market, once it hit this point, that's when our 60-30s for Friday lost a lot of premium. It went to break even pretty much, but it was up when it went over here, and many people in my room took profits at that inflection point because I had a very successful week, month, year. I pretty much am, have a higher degree of risk tolerance, and as we can see here, I pretty much call the bottom of this week here because this is where we bounce up, and that's why I got the 60-30s, right? So pretty much we rode the market down here, we rode it up, and now we're riding it down again. Okay, so that's why we wanted to hold it, because my SPX plays have been unstoppable. So one thing I really want to show you guys as well is I always show the statements in my room here. So we called out a bunch of SPX plays. I gave 60-30s, and I want to go over this spreadsheet here. Okay, reason for the spreadsheet here is that we put our numbers in here, but one thing that a statement doesn't do is it doesn't go over the trade details, and it doesn't highlight the minimum 50% target. Okay, so as you guys can see, a lot of my trades have hit my minimum 50% target. This is just for the month of December, and we're still waiting to see on a lot of these plays here. Okay, so today we pretty much took these one SPX play that was a scalp. That was a nice trade. This one here was a lotto. This play was a nice 60-30 was a nice play that we didn't end up selling. Coin we're waiting for. Baba calls was a nice winner on yesterday's move. It hit 50%, but we didn't sell them, and because we have a high degree of risk tolerance, and we're just watching everything else over here. But so far, great week, and we're still holding our NVIDIA and PLTRs, which NVIDIA did hit the 50% minimum target, but PLTR didn't. Funny thing is, I did call out PLTR at the bottom, but I didn't take that trade personally because we already have those calls. But it doesn't seem like it's going to work because it's too far out of the money. But regardless, still a lot of pending trades that we're waiting for. We're in coin puts, SPX puts. We still got AMD calls, and we got NVIDIA calls that were pretty much, and BABA as well, Tesla puts as well. Okay, but a lot of those trades definitely did hit. So for smaller accounts, we always teach them that you want to focus less on swinging and take profits whenever you can. So if they're hitting the minimum percent targets, it's always a good idea to do so. Okay, so we pretty much didn't want to take a lot of positions. We mentioned when the market would most likely dump, and pretty much we got those scalps, those SPY scalps. These scalps really ran here. Okay, so besides that, let's talk about how the indicator works. Okay, so this indicator can be purchased in the link below. Part of it's from the FU Money Club. But how this indicator works is that it's great for scalping, and it provides you great entry points, great exit points, and gives you an idea where you should consider to sell, buy, and pretty much gives you an idea where the chop range is. Okay, so for many different stocks, this indicator gives you the pre-market lows, pre-market highs, and all of that information. Okay, that's crucial to have, because when you have all that information of knowing how far the market can take you and so forth, you have a leading edge and a target that you can use from the back of your head here. Okay, because if you're looking at, let's just say, jumping into a potential call and you know exactly where the pre-market low is, you know that's going to be a strong support to potentially enter your trade. So for example, if you're looking at Nvidia here and you're looking for a potential trade setup, you can look at this market pre-market low here, and once you get into that specific play, that's where you can jump in. Boom, you got yourself a nice winning here. This indicator also automatically gives you the resistance zones and the shades. These are the EMA clouds. So if you are looking at like jumping, like let's just say if you have FOMO on Nvidia at this point over here, right? If you have FOMO at this point over here, you see that the EMA cloud is over here. So what you want to essentially do is you want to wait for the pullback so you can get back in and enter at that point. Okay. One thing about option trading that is very hard is controlling your emotions. Okay. Controlling your emotions can be very tough because we always get that essence of FOMO, and that FOMO is what is a true killer. I always tell my team here that whenever you are looking at option quotes, you always want to make sure that you have an idea about what the high and the low of the day premium is, because if you guys have that information on the top of your hand, your hand, you know exactly if you're overpaying, chasing, or whatever the case is. So if we are looking at premiums, for example here, then we go into the premium section here. So I have a lot of my levels and information set up over here. Okay, so what you guys can see is that if you're looking at, let's just say Nvidia 137 calls here, you see that the high and the low of the day premiums is all over there. Okay, now with that in mind, on having those premiums in your face right there, you can see that if you guys are buying at the high of the day price, then you're pretty much essentially having FOMO. So with that EMA cloud, it gives you an idea that if you want to get a fast entry point, you wait for that candlestick to potentially drop, so that way you can get back in and play that back to the upside that you see moving forward. Okay, so this is also great for SPY traders as well, because you can essentially see strong support zones, strong resistance zones. And if we replay this, like let's just assume we don't see in hindsight what exactly happens here, you can see on the 5 minutes exactly how it works, right? So it starts to set up these resistance zones. So boom, if you guys seen that right over there, it starts giving those areas, the shaded red areas, telling you exactly that you're going to see a little bit of resistance right there. Okay, once that resistance is there, you know exactly that you can possibly short. And then now you pause right over here and you see that the market has tested its pre-market low here. There's also this previous day demand here on SPY, and this is exactly where you can consider adding calls here. Okay, because at this point here, if you think that the market's going to give a little bit of a potential bounce, then buying here makes sense. And another thing about these calls here is that the market is giving you the low of the day premiums on calls, so it gives you a perfect opportunity to jump into that. And if you're a person that wants a scalp and you want to put a stop loss, that's also very possible as well, right? You see that the low of the day is there, and you put a stop loss, whatever you're comfortable with. Usually I don't suggest trading with the stop loss, because if you are, let's just say, if your stop loss is 50% on the $1,000 amount, you could just play 500 and let it ride. But in some cases, if you are looking to scalp, sometimes people they use a stop loss as a level, meaning like if it goes to 605, then I will stop, etc. Right? So that can work as well, whatever your preference is. But it's always important to have a plan before you get into that specific trade. So in hindsight, you see that the market opens there, the high of the days here. This gave you a little bit of resistance. If you're planning your entry for call, you look at the pre-market low and you see that demand zone that you can possibly get in. Okay, so now that you see that, boom, you got a better confirmation and stop right over here. You can see you're back at the pre-market high zone. You got this little red shaded area here, and this is where you start to see resistance here. Okay, so if you made money off your calls off this point, which you should have because you bought at the low of the day premiums, then pretty much at this point over here, this is where you pretty much want to sell at all costs, because you already know where the pre-market high is, and it stopped there. It looks like a potential double top, and now you can push this moving forward. Okay, so as we continue to move forward here, you see the market keeps consolidating right in these two ranges here, and it looks very, very choppy. And then boom, this was an opportunity to add puts back to the pre-market low, and the market just continues to trade in this specific chop throughout the entire day. So having this indicator definitely gives you an edge, and if you are looking to benefit off these choppy markets, then this is an indicator that you need in your arsenal. Another thing as well, besides choppy markets, this indicator is also great for people that want to have the proper information on where to set up their right trades, get into the exact pinpointed stuff, find the pre-market low, and so forth. Okay, because there's many opportunities where I find where if I want Nvidia and it had great news, then waiting for the pre-market low is exactly where we need to get in. Okay, now besides all that, I know we're taking a lot of time here, but I really want to talk about Broadcom here. Okay, so Broadcom, my estimated top on this for Broadcom on earnings was 210 here. Okay, now this stock here had great news. The earnings was average, but the CEO guided heavy on the future profitability of the firm, pretty much guided in the 20 billions in the far future. Okay, so our estimated top is at 210 here. Okay, the interesting thing here is that SPX futures are not strong, and pretty much Nvidia and AMD is not really moving very, very well. These should be up a lot more off that news here. Okay, so we want to see if the entire semiconductor industry can move off that particular Broadcom news, because if Broadcom goes back under 200, then pretty much you're going to see a sell-off on SPX again. You see right over here that SPX on the way down kind of stopped at my 60.58, and the 200-day moving average is at 60.40. Okay, I still think that you might see a possibility of a drop, but the news is good. I'm kind of indifferent right now, and I am not too confident that the market may hold up here. Okay, tomorrow is Friday the 13th, and we also have a NASDAQ rebalance. You may get some more Chinese update news on their stimulus, so that can also cause a drawback in the overall space here. Okay, so just be aware of that. We still got a lot of news, we still got a lot of things going on, and we're just going to be very patient moving forward. Okay, but either ways, if you're in the StockX mentorship program, you're set up for success, because we not only had a great week with many trades hitting targets, exploding, and many trades that pretty much gave us nice profits, is that now, you know, we didn't short the wrong things. We shorted the things that are showing signs of weakness, and we're in the calls that have strength. So that's in the semiconductors. So we'll see if the whole trend continues to move, because if AMD continues to pump here, our calls are already in the money on the 130s, then it's very possible we could go to 133, potentially even 135. This is one stock that broke below my estimated weekly lows, but it can still move forward. Nvidia here, it needs to really gap through this 200-day retest to potentially set up itself for a bigger move. I do believe a Christmas rally can still happen. This just looks like 1 week of consolidation, and the Christmas rally may start next week. So be aware of that, because with the news on the FOMC on the horizon, this is definitely possible, the catalyst that can move and turn the markets towards upside direction. So we play all sides in the market. We called the bottom of the week, we played calls all the way to the top, and we played puts all the way to the downside. Tomorrow, let's see what happens. And I've been giving you guys this information on Twitter, not making stuff up. It's all there, timestamped. You can see all the information I'm giving you in real time, and that's how we are better than most. I will say better than what you see outside, and we provide that one-on-one teaching and coaching services as well. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you guys in the next one.